How's it going, guys? Let's go ahead and bow in. Trip, bow, kunya. All right, so let's go ahead and just start with some jumping jacks, get warmed up a little bit. So today's class is going to be just over some intermediate kicks, so not super hard ones, not super easy. They might be really easy for you if you've been doing Taekwondo for a while. If you're relatively new, then some of these might be challenging, some of them might not be. But let's go ahead and get everything nice and warmed up. Right now we're going to go forward and backward, so our legs are going switching and our hands are just doing crosses. So each time I have my left foot forward, I want my right hand in front, and if my right foot is in front, then I want my left hand in front. So I just have that alternation. Just nice, relaxed, loose. When I'm doing this, I'm not even clenching my fists. I am making sure that they go right back to my face. I'm not going here, right in the center of my chest, up to the face. All right, bounce a little bit, shake everything out. Slow down a little bit, circle the head. Big range of motion, not fast, nice and slow. Other direction. All right, we're gonna go forward and back with our arms, hugs. When you go back, open the chest. You go forward, compress the chest, stretch the back. Don't hold your breath. Arm circles forward. Arm circles backwards. Trunk twists. Hip twists. Feet together, knee circles. Other direction. Socket stretch. Go down a few times. Other side. Rotate the back foot, heel up off the ground. Dropping down and coming up. I'm trying to feel that stretch right here in your hip flexors. Other side, same thing. Raise that back heel up. When you're doing this, if you want to get even more of a stretch, you can lean back some, trying to push your hip forward. We're going to drop down. We're going to bounce just a little bit here. We're stretching our hamstrings with this. You can do the motion by leaning forward, or you can come up and then set down into it, up and set down into it. Switch sides. And split. To one side. And the other side. Stand up. We're going to turn our inside of the foot out as we turn our hips. Modified hip twists. All right, so let's get to some kicking. So we're relatively warmed up. I didn't want to get too long of static stretches, just kind of a warm up and a little bit of dynamic stretching, so quick moving stretchings. So what we're going to start off is we're going to start off with some front leg kicks. So the first front leg kick we're going to do is going to be our front leg roundhouse kick. Now, when you're doing this, you can, I'm kind of teaching this to set up something a little bit later. So if you want, you can start with your base leg, which is going to be your back leg, already slightly pivoted. Or if you want to get the practice in of actually pivoting it, you can start off in your sparring stance, so your toes are angled slightly forward, and then pivot as you raise that knee up, going for this. So I'm going to lean back as I raise up and kick, and then drop it right back down for our front leg roundhouse kick. Now when you're doing this, try not to have this sort of an angle going, where your knee gets close to your chest. I want your knee out away from your chest whenever you're doing this. All right, front leg, roundhouse kick. We're gonna do 10 on each side. Ready? You can bounce a little bit. Hana. kick and drop it down. Kicking in the air unless you have a bag, so nice, relaxed, no power. 3. Make sure you breathe each time. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Arms are up, but nice and relaxed. Yes, sir. Is it good? Now I want you to try for right now not to step your foot in and then go. I just want you to lean back and kick. Numbers on. Yellow. Aho. Yay. All right, take a breath in and out. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing on our other leg. So again, same options. If you wanna start already slightly pivoted, you can, or the better, harder version, I guess, would be to practice pivoting that base leg as you raise your front leg up. Ready? Front leg, round kick. Hana. 3. Make sure you exhale every time when you're doing the kick. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is good. Hero. Aho. Hey. Take a breath in and out. All right, so the next one we're gonna do is gonna be our front leg side kick. Now with your front leg side kick, it's important that you get your chambering position correctly. I see it quite often where somebody will chamber and their chamber looks kind of like this. So it's halfway in between a side kick and a round kick. But one of the things that I look for are the toes. If the toes are pointed towards your target, then whenever you're extending, you're using more of your quads than your glutes, and your foot is moving in a rounder motion. And while it might end looking like a side kick, the motion that it moved in is not a side kick, so you're not going to get the same effects as a side kick. Can you still hurt somebody with that? Yes. Is it going to do the exact same thing as a side kick? No, it's not. So whenever you're getting into this chambered position from here, I want your knee to come close to your chest. Your heel and hip should be in a line facing your target, and your toes should be 45 degrees offset. So if your toes are ended up pointing here towards your target, round kick. If they're past, your heel should be on that center line or slightly in front, not a whole lot, but slightly in front. That'll allow you to use a lot of your glutes and your quads as you extend out for that thrusting motion of the kick. It's the difference between doing a punch like this and like this. This would be the side kick, and this would be kind of like a roundhouse kick mixture. It's not what you're going for. All right, so again, make sure you get that chamber position correct. Knee is up high, putting your shield up, and then kick out and bring it back. Whenever you're doing this, I usually use about 2 pivots for the side kick. So I do 1 slight pivot as I raise up, and then I pivot again. It points all the way back as I thrust that kick out, going for that extension. All right, front leg, side kick. Ready? Hana. 3. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it good? Hero. Aho. Yeah. Take a breath in and out. Now, if you're like me and you're kicking in the air, I want you to try to identify a target so that your heel can kick that target, right? So you're actually not kicking the target, but say I'm looking right here and I see Bob right there, and Bob's my target. Well, now I know, hey, my heel should be right in his face. Have a target. Don't just kick in the air. I want you to aim at what you're doing. Whenever you're not kicking something, you're actually just kicking in the air. It's really important that you practice targeting, or else you're just going to get in that habit of, I can just kick wherever and it'll be fine. And then when you actually try to kick something, you miss. And it hurts to miss when you put power in. So keep that in mind. All right, other leg, front leg, side kick. Ready? Hana. 3. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is good. Get over. Uh-huh. Hey. Take a breath in and out. Breathe in and out. All right. So I usually consider the roundhouse kick and the side kick to be basic kicks, right? Side kick is probably the hardest basic kick, in my opinion, but it's still, in my mind, a basic kick. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which kind of teeters on the basic and intermediate line. Some people consider it a basic kick, some people consider it intermediate. So we're going to do a hook kick. We're just going to do right now a front leg hook kick. Now, if you're wondering why we're doing all front leg kicks right now, it's because we're going to go and do hop step versions of these, which when you start adding footwork in with your basic kicks, that's what bumps it up to the intermediate level. Again, might be easy for you. Some people it might be very difficult for. So we're going to just go through the front leg hook kick real quick. If you need to, you can practice this one holding on to something. If not, then you don't have to. So when we're doing this, we're going to go, and our chamber position is going to be like a side kick chamber, except for now, I'm going to point my toes, and usually you're going to have your toes slightly angled downwards. You can point them outwards, but because of the flicking motion, most people are just going to have it slightly angled. So now if my target is directly in front of me, I'm going to point my knee 90 degrees away from my target. I'm going to extend out. I want the height of my kick and full extension at my target, and then I want my knee to pass the center line. So I see all the time hook kicks being done like this. That's still a hook kick, yes. That's not the way I teach a hook kick, because in my mind that's a point hook kick. You're probably not ever going to knock anybody out. Probably, it's possible, but you're probably not going to knock anybody out with a hook kick like this. Will you score in Taekwondo with it? Absolutely. But I want you to kind of get in the mindset of, okay, well, instead of just using my hamstrings, which that's all that's doing if that knee stops at that center line, I want to also use my glutes and a little bit of twist in there, so my knee ends up going much further past that center line. That's going to add a lot more power into it than just this hooking motion using only your hamstring muscles. So that's one of the things with this. So again, knee comes up, points 90 degrees away from your target, lean back, kick, and now you can tuck your shoulder to that 90-degree point. So where my knee was, I can tuck my shoulder of the kicking side that direction. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to tuck the shoulder towards the back, which almost always causes the knee to stop in that center line. You can point it a little bit to the side to have that counterbalance, and it also helps you get a little bit past that center line. Just don't overdo it to the point where you're dropping way down there and your head becomes in that danger zone. We have a little bit of this as our counterbalance, just like you throw the arms as your counterbalance with your round kick. You can do that, just don't overdo it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're going to do our front leg hook kick. If you need to, like I said, go ahead and hold on to something if you're still getting that motion down. If you've got it, let's do it. Ready? Hana. 3. Sit. Net. That's it. Make sure you exhale on that kick. Yes, sir. Is it good? Get over. Uh-huh. Yeah. All right, now we're going to do the same thing with our other leg. This one's probably going to be a little bit harder for most of you. It's going to be harder for me as well. It's okay. Ready? And two. Sit. Net. That's it. Yes, sir. Is it good? See your targets. Throw. Aho. Let's take a breath in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to quickly review our hop step footwork. You might know it, you might not know it. It's relatively simple though. We're going to start off in our sparring stance. Our back foot comes to our front foot, and our front foot comes out. Now this is the most simplified version of this. As you can see this tape right here, I'm just coming up to the tape with one foot and stepping out with the other. Again, this is the simplified version. Ideally, I want to start behind the tape, and then I move forward, and now this foot is about 18 inches to 2 feet in front of where that tape was. You want to start being able to get that distance, but if you're still just getting the idea of the hop step down, this is it. If you've got it down, then you're going to move further. One of the things I want you to make sure that you are not doing is what's called a telegraph. A telegraph is when you show something is about to happen before it happens. So this, for hop step footwork, is a telegraph. That step before the skip. And this is a very common thing, to have that step before the kick. Now, telegraphs are bad, all right? Just telegraphs are bad. But you can hide telegraphs in movement. So if you know that you telegraph a lot, or maybe you're doing that telegraph for a reason. Maybe they're just far enough away where you can't kick them unless you have this little bit of a step prior. That's fine, but I want you to hide the telegraph if you are doing that. So what that means is, like, I might go here and I back up, and I go here and I back up, and I go here and I'll kick. I did the motion that is usually a telegraph prior to actually doing the kick. And now when you do something like that, it's going to make it harder for your opponent to read. But if you always do a kick every time after that telegraph, then they know a kick is coming. But if you don't always do a kick, they don't know. They might expect it, but that's where you can fake them. Maybe you did that, and then they kick at you, and then you counter kick. Cool. All right, so that's what a hop step is. Let's go ahead, and we're going to practice it. We're just going to hop step one way, turn, hop step the other way. Turn, hop step, hop step. All right, ready? Another. Turn, 3. Set. Net. Das. Yes. Is it good? Yellow. Aho. Yellow. That's a hop step. All right, so now we're going to add those front leg kicks in with our hop step. So I'm going to show you the easier version first. Easier version. And this is going to be for a hop step roundhouse kick, because that's what we're going to start off with. And drop it down. And then come back. Now, one thing that I see people do, and it's not, I don't like to say things are wrong, it's just, it doesn't accomplish as much. So I'll see this, kind of a pendulum kick, where they go forward, and then they come right back. When you're doing something like a hop step, usually you want to take their space. Not always, but usually I want to close in, and I want them to go back. I want to take their space away from them. I'm backing them up into a corner or something like that. You can do something like this, just hit and then come back and gain your distance again. You can do that, but I just want you to be mindful of when you're doing it. Right now, we're not going to do that. We're going to be dropping the foot down in front and then hop stepping back. All right? Hop step roundhouse kick. Ready? And drop it down, come back. 3. Set. Net. Das. See your target, kick your target. Yes. Is it good? Yellow. Aho. Yellow. And switch. Same thing. Hop step, roundhouse kick. Now again, remember with our roundhouse kick, as I do this, the knee points at my target, and then I kick. Ideally, I actually want to point slightly past my target instead of directly at my target. That way, when I make contact, I'm driving through them and not just to them. All right? Left leg, hop step, roundhouse. Ready? And 3, set, net, yes, yes, good, go, finish up if you're not done. If you are, take a breath. I try to go a little bit fast because I want you to push yourself. I want you to try to, I don't like saying it, but I want you to try to rush a little bit. If you're, it's good to go slow when you're just learning it, but again, that's why I'm calling this one the intermediate-ish. So you kind of know all the pieces, now we're just putting them together, and I want you to try to keep up with my pace as much as possible. I don't expect you to stay completely with me, at least not everybody, but if you can, awesome. It gives you that drive to do it, and it also gives you a better workout when you start getting really tired because you're just constantly going one right after the next after the next. All right, now we're going to go over our hop step side kick. So like I had mentioned before with the front leg side kick, that chambering position is important. The knee comes towards the chest whenever you're doing it. Some people even teach to hug it. Some people grab under and over, hug, whatever. That knee comes towards the chest to get that chambered position. Now that happens while I'm doing my hop step. And now this is something that's just kind of hard to show, but I want that chamber to happen. I can't show it in slow motion. I'm going to try to, but I'm going to have to talk you through it. So I want that chamber to happen in the motion, and I want my kick to extend almost as soon as my base leg plants, right? So watch. As opposed to this. You saw how I did the hop step, got into my chambered position, my base leg was planted, and then I kicked. I want the kick happening. It's going out. It's almost fully extended at the point of impact. And that's when my base leg should make contact with the ground. So I want here, it makes contact with the ground just before my full extension of that side kick. If you do it too early, it's so easy to read and really easy to avoid. So I want you to mesh those together so that you cut down on the time of the kick and you'll actually land it more often. If you are just going here, it's slower, it's easier to read. You might miss more. All right, so hop step side kick. Bruce Lee's favorite kick. Ready? Same thing, I'm planting it down in front. I'm not doing a pendulum kick at this time. I'm just gonna skip back. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it good? Hero. Uh-huh. Take a breath in. And now finish up if you're not done. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on our other leg. Ready? Now, I'm cheating a little bit, so I'm going to tell you that I'm cheating, so I'll hopefully stop cheating, and if you are cheating as well, hopefully you will as well. I've been doing this a little bit, where I turn my front foot towards the side because I know I'm about to do a hop step side kick, right? That's cheating. In sparring, you want that front foot towards the front. That way you can do pivots this way, just as easy as things this way, or back kicks, or whip kicks, or whatever you're doing. If you turn it here, that basically eliminates this rear leg roundhouse kick, because this is a weird motion. That's a massive pivot, and it's super easy to see coming, or they see this before, which is just another telegraph. So try not to do the easy thing. I was doing it. Don't start off with those toes already pointed towards the inside. Keep your front toes towards the front. Ready? Left leg, or for me, left hop step side kick. Hana. Make sure you're looking down your shoulder, not under your shoulder. set, net, yes, yes, it's good, get over, take your breath in and out. All right, so the next hop step kick that we're gonna do is gonna be our hop step hook kick. Hop step hook kick. So it looks like this. So I still want you trying to go a little bit past that center line. With the hop step, you might not go as far past the center line, but that's fine. I usually want you to get that knee, so here's my center line, 30 to 45 degrees past that center line. 45, kind of starting to push it. Past that, you're going a little bit too much, and you're going to start compromising yourself if the knee is way over here. So have it 30 to 45 degrees past whatever you're kicking is where that front knee should be ending. The movement, back leg comes up, knee comes up at the same time, just like I was talking about with the side kick. I should, as this foot is moving up, this one's coming up. So it's all at one time, and then I want to go and throw that kick out. So here, comes up, out, just past it, drop it down, hop step back. Ready? Hop step hook kick. Don't cheat. And there. Set. Now when I land, my base leg lands pivoted. So I'm not pivoting as I land, or I'm not landing, then pivoting. I'm pivoting in the air, so I don't have to worry about this twist. That happens with the hop step. Goes down, 3. Net. Yes. Yes. Here we go. Hello. Take a breath in and out. Breathe in and out. In and other side. Same things. Ready? Hop step, hook kick. Arms are nice and relaxed. Exhale on each kick. And out. 3. Set. Net. Yes. Yes. Here we go. Get up. Take a breath. All right, so the last one I did, hopefully you didn't even notice it because you're doing it yourself, but I did my hop step, and then I brought it all the way towards the back. That's just helping me practice my pivot and helping me practice control. You don't have to do it. Ideally, you're probably dropping it down in the front, unless, this is one of those things, sometimes if I miss the kick, I'll drop it down in the back if I had a whole lot of momentum behind it, and it'll just allow me to place it down, whoop, and kind of get my distance again, as opposed to here. Because if I missed, then that's their best opportunity to counterattack. So I don't want to be counterattacked on, so sometimes I'll bring it all the way back to avoid a counter. All right, just little things to play with. Remember, I don't like saying things are wrong because there's usually an opportunity to use most things. You just have to be mindful of when you're doing something. So I don't want you doing something if it doesn't fit the scenario that you're practicing. It might fit a different scenario, but make sure you're doing the correct thing for that specific scenario, because everything is scenario based. one thing will work for something, but it won't work at all for something else. So you need to be aware of what the context is of what you're training. That way you know which version of that to use. All right, so we're gonna do one last intermediate-ish kick. Some places this is a basic kick, some places this is an intermediate kick. Some places don't even teach us for some reason. All right, so we're gonna go over a back kick. So a back kick is one of the strongest kicks if you've seen it used in the UFC. If you've seen it made contact in the UFC, you usually see it in the fight with a broken rib because it is just an extremely strong kick, and ribs break very easily when they get hit with this kick, which is why you should always wear a chest protector when practicing sparring. All right, so a back kick, we'll break it down into 3 steps. So step number 1 is turn your heels. So both my heels are going to turn towards my target. That's 1. Now when I do this, I kind of do this a little bit of a twist. So you can see how right now my heels are in a straight line, but if I keep the balls of my feet on the ground and I twist, see how you can see this foot in front? It's going to make for a really awkward back kick. So it's going to actually come around onto this side. So if I'm starting on this tape here, as I do this pivot, now this foot, which was on this side of the tape, goes to this side of the tape. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is to look over the same side shoulder as your back leg. So my back leg is my right leg. As I do step 1, boom. Step 2, I look over that same side shoulder and I see my target. Step 3 is to kick. Now when you're kicking, I want you to make sure that your shoulders are off to the sides, not towards the target. If I kick towards the target, it usually ends up being a back side kick, which, like I was talking about earlier, is a different scenario. It works great for certain scenarios, but it is not a back kick, and we're training back kick right now. So again, 1, 2, shoulders pointed off to the sides. I look just with one eye. I shouldn't be able to see it with my other eye. My back is still pointed, and I kick. Now the kick is going to happen like this. Curl. So this is curl, right? I'm curling or flexing at my knee, and then extend backwards. It is not going to happen like this. Flex at the hip, and then kick. When people flex at the hip, they usually end up kicking down here, really low. It's kind of hard to kick up higher without a big pendulum type motion, and it's a lot slower. So we're just going to curl and extend. So that's going to be the motion. Here, 1, turn the heels. 2, look over the same side shoulder. Keep your back exposed. I know some martial arts you shouldn't have your back exposed. I know. Keep your back exposed towards your target. Curl and extend. So that curling is happening as my knees are going together, and then it just shoots out and extends. All right, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3, back. I want you bringing it back right now. I don't want you dropping it in the front. Most people, when they're first learning it, if they don't bring it back and they drop it in the front, they end up turning it into a back side kick. So we're going to practice bringing it back behind us. Ready? Again. 1, look, 2, kick, 3, back. 1, turn, heels. 2, look, 3, kick. Again. 1, turn the heels. 2, look over the shoulder. 3, kick straight back. All right, now let's do the same thing on our other side. So let's see, which side will you be able to see the best on? I want to kick with my left leg. Yeah, this side. All right, so 1, turn the heels. 2, look over your left shoulder if you're kicking with your left leg. 3, kick. My back was still pointed. I'm going to do this next one facing you so you can see that my back is going to be pointed, but I'll be able to see my camera, at least, with one eye. 1, 2, I can see my camera. 3, if I can see it, I can kick it. If I can't see it, I can't kick it. Well, I can't kick it consistently. All right, again, stay same side. Ready? 1, turn. 2, look. 3, kick. And bring it back. 1, turn. 2, look. 3, kick. And back. 1, 2, 3. All right. We're going to do 5 more on each side. This time I'm not going to count. You're going to do all 3 of those counts all together. Ready? Hana. 3. Set. Net. Make sure you're kicking above the belt level. Awesome. And switch sides. Hana. Two. Set. Net. Awesome. Take a breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And out. All right, guys. So now we're just going to start cooling down. That was it for the main section of the class. If you have any questions, now is a great time to go ahead and type those up for me. After I'm done stretching, I will end the class, and I will answer all of your questions, if you have any. All right, so first thing, let's go ahead. Let's start with the calves. Let's stretch out our calves a little bit. We're going to put our hands down. We're going to put one foot up, and now I want my feet close enough to me that my heel almost touches the ground. I don't want it to be able to touch the ground, especially if it's way out here. I want it to almost be able to touch the ground. And that should be stretching at the back of your knee and in your calf muscle. It should be about the upper calf muscle. All right, now let's go ahead and plant our other foot and bring it in. If you get it too close into you, like this, you're going to start going up here and getting those hamstrings. So you got to find that right spot so that you get more towards the back of the knee and that lower calf. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stretch a little bit more on the calf, but also some hamstrings. So we're going to go here, pointing our toes up. Now as I do this, I'm going to rotate my pelvis interiorly, right? So it's going to go here, and I'm bending down. And that should have it more here. I can adjust this to make it into my calf, but right now I want to focus on that hamstring. All right, and let's go ahead and let's switch. Now I'm not holding these for a super long time. If you're working on your flexibility, you need to be holding each of these stretches for at least 30 seconds to actually be getting the stretch that you need to increase your flexibility. This is good. What we're doing right now is good to stop some muscle soreness. You'll still be a little bit sore, but you're going to be a little bit less sore. All right, so that's what this is for. It's not really to improve your flexibility right now. You're going to have to do that on your own because it does take a good amount of time. All right, let's go ahead and lift one foot up and grab it. So this should be stretching your quads right up here. Usually, if your knees are in line, like mine are right now, you'd probably be stretching more on the lower portion of the quads. If you want to get on the higher portion of the quads, then extend your knee back as you pull in, and that'll probably get, everybody's a little bit different, but that usually gets higher up on the quads. All right, let's go ahead, switch legs. If you need to hold on to something while you're doing this, that's fine too. So I got my knees together, lower quads. Now, if you're just really tight, it might hit something different than for you than it does for me. So play around with it, find what you need to stretch, move it around a little bit until you get that. Extend back with the knee, so now my knees are not next to each other. This should raise it up a little bit. All right, we're going to go into a socket stretch. We're going to go down nice and deep, making sure that the heel is on the ground for this one. This should be stretching the inside of your leg. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing on our other side. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop our back knee down as we push our hips forward. This should get your hip flexors. So higher up on the quads, right there on the hip joint, right in the front. Switch to the other side, drop your knee down, push your hips. Your hips are trying to push towards that front heel whenever you're doing this. If you want even more of a stretch, lean back some. All right, let's go ahead and get into the sumo splits. So we're going to bend our knees, putting our forearms on the inside of our knees, and then extending outwards to open up your knees. Now, if your feet are in line, don't fall. Come up, and let's do some modified hip twists. And chair up. Bow. Kunya. All right, let's go ahead and see if there are any comments Oh, we got a bunch of people in for this one today. Where am I from? I'm from Texas, USA. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any questions. Does anybody have any questions before I log off? I'll give just another minute for anybody to type it up. No problem, you're welcome. All right, does not look like we have any other questions, so I hope you all have a great day and a Happy New Year.